What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Confessions of a Fitness Coach. On today's episode 18, I'm talking to running coach Valerie Hunt. She's from Dallas, Texas, and she's my favorite follow on Instagram at RunRx. That is coming up next. Everything you need to know about running form and technique. All right, what's up, everybody? Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Fitness Coach. I'm Coach Danielle Collette, and I have Valerie here, aka at RunRx on Instagram. She's my favorite follow. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to interview you and to pick your brain. And I've just learned so much from just following your Instagram stories, and I really practiced that pull fall technique that you teach for running, and I was really able to shave off about 2.5 minutes from my 5K or so. And I really I felt really good after I ran too. I really felt like I engaged my hamstrings and my quads way more. I definitely felt it. And I noticed less impact on my feet and my knees. So thank you for that. And thanks so much for letting me interview today. So just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your name, what you do.
Okay. Well, I'm Valerie Hunt, and I'm based out of Dallas, Texas, which is recent. I used to be in Austin, and I've been a trainer now for I'm going on 29 years starting in January. And I specialize in running technique, but I'm a regular trainer. And I got into running technique because I started coaching people outside the gym. And when I first started doing that, I was just a trainer like everybody else. And when I went to take people outside, I wasn't myself like an endurance athlete at that point. I was a gym rat. And so I was like, I better learn how to do this.
Yeah.
Because, we went outside and we ran. And then I decided to start training people for like outdoors events like triathlons, endurance events. So I found this book. And in the book, it had how to run. And I never thought about it. How to run.
You just run. Like you didn't think that you would think about it. You just think you go out and you run, but there's so much more to it.
Right. And you think about it because you're a trainer. So when someone hires you to train them, they want you to teach them everything, right?
Absolutely.
And you want to make sure they're doing everything correctly. I mean, everything. And all of a sudden you're like, go run. And you give them nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. So the more I got into it and more excited about it, I got it initially from a book, and then I was really fortunate. I went deeper and went to the author of the book. So I've been coaching, it's called Pose Method now, for about 18 years. And it's great, obviously, because I've taken it, I hope, just like meeting you, from just my experience to directly with my clients to being able to take it online, which has been huge. So my goal now is what I've been doing is online coaching as well as clinics.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah. So what got you into fitness? Was it like love at first sight, or did you guys just kind of like dance with it on and off throughout your life?
That's funny. I actually, I didn't play sports when I was young, but my mom, so my parents were separated, my mom worked for Club Med. You know what that is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. That's like the old school gym.
No, it's the first resort that was an all-inclusive.
Oh, okay. Different thing than I was thinking about.
Yeah. So my mom's French, doesn't live in the United States. And so when I would go to visit her, she liked to exercise, and I thought she was really obviously glamorous. She was French, and like when you go to Club Med, you're like on the beach, and I wanted to be a fitness instructor there. That's was like so cool. When I was little, right? And so I joined a gym really early, like when I was 13 or 14, with a good friend of mine who was overweight, and she wanted to lose weight. Yeah. And so we joined a gym together. She never went. I loved it from day one. And it's just the way life works. The guy that signed us back then, when you joined the gym, the guy that signed you up was also like your trainer and the sales guy and did everything. And so just randomly, he kind of took me on as a project and started teaching me like more about fitness. And back then, you're really young, but when I first started in fitness, the women were in the aerobics room and the men were in the weight room.
I got you. Yeah.
I wanted to do both. Like I was like, no, I want to do weights too.
Yeah, so, you want to break those barriers. Like you want to lift weights too.
Yeah, we're talking 1985. I mean, it was like not a lot of women in the weight room. The women were all in the Stairmaster. You know, it was just the way it went. But I started getting more and more into it. So I was just really lucky. When I went to college, I went to UT Austin. I already knew that I wanted to go fitness because I'd already
That's
done it all through high
amazing.
school. Yeah. So just small world, the gym that I belonged to when I was in high school, they opened a gym in Austin and they hired me.
Oh,
And
that's
so
so cool.
my very first job was literally like my very first day in Austin. And that's all I've ever done.
That's so cool. Like, how was your experience, like learning as you went, becoming a new trainer in the fitness world? And I know you said you worked in like that traditional style gym as a trainer once
Yeah,
you did get started.
yeah,
How was that for you as you were learning? Did you like learn from all the people that you worked with, or did you learn from
yeah.
a lot of the people you watched?
Well, this is fun now, but when I was first started, like I was 18, 19 years old, and the manager was like, so I taught aerobics. That was, of course, that was a given. And then I also worked as a trainer, but initially you worked on the floor, like you were floor staff. This was
Mhm.
way back at Gold's Gym. And they were like, just walk up to people and start asking them to show them how to use machines, help them do stuff. Well, here I am, this 19-year-old college kid going up to like random people in the weight room. Hi,
Oh my
can I
God,
show you
it's
how
got
to
to
do
be
that?
awkward.
Oh yeah. And initially a lot of people were very much like, I got it, little lady. You
Yeah.
know, they didn't want this little aerobics teacher coming out telling them, So it was a good learning lesson because the people that I did help and was able to work with, they were more open to it. But I practiced because I just didn't care. Because I was like, I'm here, I'm gonna do this, I'm excited about it. And so by the time I got my first real job out of college, I got hired in as the manager.
Oh,
And
like,
yeah, so that was great. But I spent like 7 years running a club. We had close to 15,000 members when I left, 2,000 a day through the door.
wow,
So
that's crazy.
and our cardio classes were like 40 to 60 people. I mean, it was like
Wow.
the height of, but here's the difference. And I'm sure that you're like this now. This was such a movement back then. It was more about just exercising, not so much like, were you doing it right?
Yeah, yeah, you're just in there and you're doing the moves. Like I've taken those body boot camp classes at like
Yeah,
Shapes or LA Fitness. And I used to take,
yeah,
I've even taken like the old school step classes.
yeah.
I used to do that when I was younger.
Right.
And
Well, I
yeah, it's
taught
definitely,
that.
they don't watch your form really. It's just kind of
No.
you're in the front and you're
Yeah.
just kind of doing your own thing and
Yes.
watching and hoping they're doing the right thing.
Well,
Yeah,
you're just hoping no one falls off their step.
that too, that too. That's really important.
Well, and so honestly, when I started, and everybody just kind of evolves. So when I got into training outdoor, when I started training for runs myself, 5Ks, 10Ks, triathlons, marathons, when you start to get outside and put it all together, you realize the movement itself is so important. And also
Absolutely.
more fun when you're doing it right. So
Yeah.
I left the big gym and opened my own place in 2001, small fitness group training, which again was kind of innovative then because most people did personal training, like one-on-one training.
Yeah.
So the idea of group fitness as a personal training idea was, now it seems normal, but back then it was really wild. And it was so much more cost effective. But
Yeah,
you weren't like
absolutely.
this lost number in a crowd, like in a big, aerobics class, and you also weren't getting like, by yourself training, which is, now as a group fitness coach, you get so much more energy when everyone's together, pulling
100%.
together. And if you're a good movement coach, you can modify for everyone. And so that was
Absolutely.
like unheard of back then. So that was my big shift.
Yeah, I can imagine like creatively in general, because you used to design your aerobics classes in the bigger traditional gym for multiple, like 47 people. And then you go
Yeah.
to smaller group training classes where you get to creatively design your own workouts for that. How did that differ for you? Did you kind of like be able to take the reins and design your own thing and incorporate
Oh
what
yeah.
you enjoyed
Well,
versus?
honestly, that's one of the reasons I left where I was. We sold to a big gym that
Mm,
was going to start doing canned classes. So I knew I had to leave because I had total creative freedom, and so did my instructors. So my rule was if people weren't complaining and you had good turnout in your classes and you could do whatever you wanted. If I looked in your room and you were doing something crazy, I'm going to stop you. But for the most part, the fun of being a teacher was the creating part. And
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
changed with like body pump, basically. Basically the idea was every instructor is going to get like the same routine, because that way the consumer can go to any class anywhere and get that same workout.
Yeah.
So I understand that, right? But it wasn't for me. So that's when I left. And again, I'm just really fortunate because I'm just a creative person. So I was able to take my favorite parts of the gym and just bring them with me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
amazing.
also, once you get away from machines and use free weights and dumbbells and bands and body work, you don't need all the stuff that's in the gym.
Absolutely. I tell people that all the time. So you work at Camp Gladiator now, right? And that's
I
in
do.
Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
What kind of training do you guys do at Camp Gladiator? I think they just opened one kind of like, I'd say about 40 minutes or so away from me, but I have a girlfriend that works here, but I really don't know what kind of training they do actually. So what kind of
You
stuff do you
need
do?
you need to call them.
Yeah. Actually,
This
one of
is
my friends, I think they opened it. My friend Jonas and his wife
well,
Laura, I believe they opened the one in Trinity area. And they're like the owners now and the coach. So I should go over there
right.
and check
So
them out.
I know we're in. I need to look, but I know we're in Florida. Like we just launched in Florida. So this is exciting. I had totally planned on retiring. So when I moved, when I moved out from Austin, I had owned the gym for 17 years, and I wasn't going to retire from being a trainer, but I was not. I was done with owning a gym. That was enough. So when I moved to Dallas, I was only going to do online running coaching, and but I really love people and interacting with people. I'm just a people person. So I met a woman here, and I didn't know anyone. I mean, I didn't know anyone here. And she said, come try a boot camp. And I'll be honest with you, I've never done a boot camp. And my first response to her was, I don't do boot camps. And then I thought, that's a really negative response. Here's
Yeah,
someone
it is.
reaching out, being friendly, inviting you to do something, and you're just being, that's terrible. So I thought, you're right, go. And I went, and I'm telling you, I walk up, it's a parking lot. And there was probably 50 people there Saturday morning, community workout, and the energy was amazing. Just everybody was nothing but like, hi, so nice to meet you. Welcome to our community. It was like, and I said to them, I didn't even want to come. I'm so like, anyway.
Isn't that
So
crazy?
yeah, and so they asked me if I wanted to just, teach a class. So I teach now every morning at 5:30. I'm a 5:30 a.m.er, and I swore it off. I said 28 years I've gotten up at 4 in the morning, 4:30, not doing it anymore, and here I am because I love it. And then I also teach an 8:30. And here's the really cool thing, and I'll let you in on it. As a trainer, it's the first company that's for trainers. There's
Yeah.
no overhead, right? We take it outside. There's no gym, there's no building. It's you, and it's the people you bring in. And of course, you've got dumbbells and mats, and you bring all the toys you want. I tell people that are runners, that lift at another gym, that go to Orange Theory, that go to anything else, this is like the supplement too. Like you don't have to give up what you're doing at all, or it can be what you do. But everyone that's added in Camp Gladiator to their routine that I've met has done nothing but come back out with, I feel stronger, I feel healthier. And it's the outside, because think about it, except for runners or bikers or swimmers,
Yeah, you
no
don't
one
go
else goes
outside.
outside.
The
And
energy
that
you get, even just being out there is so important.
Yes.
Absolutely, I
And you
agree.
live in Florida, and I'm a pansy. Like I don't love cold weather. And this is my first winter. And the first day it was below freezing, and we were all outside and everybody was exercising. I'm telling you, the connection was insane.
I
And we
bet.
were laughing because we laugh all summer. You're building a connection in the heat, if you will, and you can understand that.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a suffering that goes together. So in the cold, you feel like I did it, like
Yeah, like you feel like a damn like Rocky at the top
yeah,
of the stairs.
yeah.
I tell
So
my members that all the time. I'm like, I want you
right,
leaving here feeling like Rocky at the top of those stairs.
and
That's how, I
that's the
mean, woo, in the
thing.
cold.
And think about it. You don't realize it, but one of the cool things too, with in all honestly, my joy in running coaching is my why is to help people run pain free.
Yeah,
Because what I had never experienced, like in the gym as an aerobics teacher, you get the same people come all the time. You might get a shin splint or something every blue moon, but for the most part, there's not a lot of injuries. You go out into the running community and everyone's suffering,
I
but
know.
unnecessarily so. because
Hip
they're just,
problems, knee problems, ankle problems. They have
oh,
no idea it
yeah.
can be
And then the
solved.
first
Yeah.
thing, like you go to the doctor and you're like, I'm running and my knee hurts. They're like, oh,
Stop
start
running.
running. Pick
Yep.
a different sport. Well, you don't want to pick a different sport. You want to run. And so as runners are now understanding that part of the reason they got injured also was never cross training, right? They were just running all the time. So then, yeah, introduce some of that other training, but also learn how to run. And think about it. If you go to any other fitness class or any other thing you're going to do as a sport, you're going to take a lesson. It's
Yeah.
not weird to take a swim lesson, golf lesson, bike lesson, any other thing. But then when you tell people I'm learning how to run, there's a stigma with it. Because
Uh-huh.
the first response to me is, you mean you don't know how to run? And I'm like, no, I do
That's so
now, but
funny.
no, I didn't. And I think for me coming into it as a non-runner, I didn't have any stigma with it. Like I was more like, I can't wait to learn. I'm so excited. I'm going to learn, and then I can teach people and feel confident as an instructor teaching.
Yeah.
So that's been the other joy for me coming into Camp Gladiator. Just in DFW, I've taught so many trainers around me, and they've all been like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now we know that when our runners, when we cue to go running, we have some cues to give our runners.
Yeah,
And
that's so
as an
important.
instructor,
Absolutely.
I mean, you think about it, like, I don't know, have you ever taught a spinning class?
I have not taught one, but I have a Peloton, so I ride like every
Okay.
day.
Yeah. So like I got spinning certified, for example, 20
Mhm.
years ago. And here's a room of instructors that have never cycled in their life. And they're learning and expecting to learn as they should from whoever's teaching, so we can teach correctly, right?
Yeah,
Because otherwise you've got a group of people sitting on a bike learning from someone that's never even been on a bike, right?
absolutely. Yep.
That's insane. So I'm the same with running. I tell people it doesn't matter if you're not a runner. You should be able to cue running for your clients.
I
So
agree.
that's the culture shift I'm hoping to go with.
That's
That's my
amazing.
next goal is to start a coaching program for that.
That's so cool. So what are some good running technique tips that you can like that you teach that anybody listening can practice at
Sure.
home?
Okay, so I'll give you and it's fun. And I would highly encourage you guys to also, like, I teach, the base of what I teach is called Pose Method, which is actually based in Miami, Florida. So you're right next to it. But and you can go to my site. But here's 3 things that will make a huge difference. And one is to understand that the fun part of running is that you only have to do one thing in your run, and that's pull your foot up from the ground. And if you understand, just like if I was going to teach you how to do a squat and I would tell you to sit back like you're sitting in a chair, it's kind of one of the cues that we use.
Mhm.
Well, in running, there's a running pose. And so once you understand there's a pose of running, which looks like the figure 4 from the waist down. So if you're listening to this, stand up and slide your ankle bone up the inside of your leg and just stand there, and you're literally like making a figure 4 position, and run in place by simply pulling your foot up from the ground and just in place, just kind of an easy in place. Then just press your body forward from your hips and feel what happens. What'll happen is you'll start to move forward. And that is the key of running, is that once you understand that you use gravity to move forward, it's a gift, because all of a sudden a lot of the work you were putting into your run leaves. Meaning, a lot of us, when we run, we pump our arms or we reach our legs and we do all these muscular actions, which just really tires you out. And instead, once you kind of, like a little kid, you watch a little kid run, right? They don't think about it, they just kind of fall forward and there off they go.
Mm.
And once you kind of relearn that, and the fun part, guys, is when you're doing this, you practice. I have a ton of videos to practice from, but literally like standing and practicing falling into a wall or falling with a friend, that all of a sudden you are starting to learn a movement or relearn a movement, because here's the great argument with running, right? We all know how to do it. It's a
Mm.
natural thing. We're born running. Well, a lot of us were, but most of us, as we grew up, we weren't running every day for hours a day. So you can't compare someone that spent hours at a time running to someone that just maybe played a sport or even played but didn't really learn the mechanics, if you will, or the technique. So you can take an adult or any age, and that's the beauty of it, is once you start to play with falling and then pulling off the ground and realizing you want to get in the air, like you don't want to be on the ground, then all of a sudden you feel like a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look forward to your run. And then I always tell people, if you go through the learning phase, spend 3 weeks, 6 weeks kind of taking yourself through that, then you've got a lifetime of running. And anyone that, like you cycle, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's things you practice for cycling that now are probably, you just practice them to stay kind of sharp,
Yep.
but maybe initially you had to spend a little more time.
Yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
same. That's right. So that's the same
Practice
with
makes
running.
perfect.
Right. But perfect practice makes perfect.
That's true.
Otherwise runners are, and think about, this is sorry, I now go off topic, but something to think about is even when I first got into running, and I'm a strength coach, so I'm strong and I want to do everything rah, right?
Mhm.
And people would say, you need to pound the pavement and push off the ground and drive. So all of these sounds were really aggressive. So then I'm running and I'm like hitting the ground and pushing off it and reaching. Well, you think about that, and all of those movements are telling you the wrong thing. That's not fun. Then you're
No.
like, wow, my shins hurt, my knees hurt. I don't know why. I'm just pounding the pavement over and over. And it's kind of like banging your head in the wall.
Yep.
Stop. So once you just shift your thought process to, I'm not going to bang on the ground or pound the pavement. I'm going to fall and I'm going to pull, and running all of a sudden then is running. It's the joy is actually about the moving forward part. And then
Yeah.
once that's kind of the cue, then when you have people running, whether it's on the treadmill, whether it's outside, and you say to them, like, find a fall point with your eyes, use your hips, engage with your body, then they're running and they can think about what they're doing. How much easier is it while you're running to think, I'm going to find a fall point, I'm going to communicate with my center of my body, press my hips forward, my feet are pulling. That's a much nicer thought than thinking, 30 more minutes or 3 more miles, or,
Yeah,
you know what I
absolutely.
mean? Like, thinking of the action is much more fun. Then you're connecting and you're running,
For
you know?
sure.
So,
Absolutely, I agree. So let's get into the next question. I know that like you don't just teach technique on running, but you also teach recovery, stretching, and strengthening those specific muscles and the tissue. What are some great tips for listeners to practice?
okay, well, first of all, let's get into our feet. I think that's a forgotten thing. And so what I mean by that is, as any kind of exerciser, but especially runners, so we run on our feet. So things like picking up, like being barefoot obviously is great, picking things up with your toes, toe scrunches, being really active with your toes. If you do wear like work shoes during the day, if there's any point, you can take them off and really spread your toes out. Because that's the thing, when you run, you're connecting with the foot. The foot's what connects with the ground. So the more you yourself can connect with your foot, the stronger the foot becomes. The stronger the foot becomes, then the stronger the rest of the body is. Because the foot's the frame, the foot's the base, it's the foundation. And I think a lot of us spend time like stretching our calves, which is great. But if we're not strengthening the foot first, then we're not, it's like building a house without a foundation, right?
Absolutely. I tell
So,
people to stretch their feet and they look at me sideways. I'm like, you
right,
need to stretch your
right,
toes. You need to stretch your feet. You need to really
right.
get into that. And they're like, what? They're like,
Well,
I don't never heard of that.
and think about it. If you're also sold kind of that, like if I buy these shoes, so we haven't talked about this at all, but if I buy these motion control shoes that are supposed to do all these magical things for me, then it's not really being taught that I should be doing my own self-work or
Yeah.
self-care, however you want to title it. And a
Like the
lot of
shoes will
people,
just do the trick.
well, and even like I teach running clinics. And so, for example, I used to teach them in a 2-day format. So I taught for years for CrossFit. They used to call it CrossFit Endurance. Now it's called CrossFit Running Workshops. Always been the pose. But one of the things we taught or showed people was to take a ball and roll the bottom of their foot. Just a little ball. You can use a lacrosse ball. I like a little bit of a soccer ball, but whatever. You roll the bottom of your foot. And well, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. First, you have them stand and touch their toes. And runners always say, I can't touch my toes. I've got really tight hamstrings. And so then we would have them roll the bottom of their foot and then retest. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, that's so weird. Now I can touch my toes. And I'm always like, your plantar right now, your arch is tight. And you think about it, you're trying to roll like your calf or your hamstring or your quad, and you haven't rolled the bottom of your foot. Well, the rest of your body's not going to relax. It's like you're a one unit. And so I'll tell people, there's 3 things you can do. One is toe scrunches. You don't have to buy anything. You can just, pick up a towel or scrunch the floor. Something you can roll the bottom of your foot with. Everyone, you can use a water bottle if you want to.
Golf ball, anything.
Right, golf, whatever you got. But just be active on that. And then, of course, you can stretch. There's still stretching is great. Stretch your calves, stretch your hamstrings, all of that. But please take the time to strength train your feet.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so important. I try to tell people all the time.
Yes.
So what is your take on nutrition? What kind of habits do you implement in your training? Do you help your clients with that?
No.
No.
And I shouldn't be so harsh. If people ask me here's what happens, especially depending on what I'm doing. If I'm helping you with your running, then that's pretty much what you're asking me for. And that's my specialty. If you take my boot camp and I see you every day, I always say, I'm happy to help you, but since I see you every day, how honest are you going to be with me?
Yeah.
Because I've been doing this a long time. I've tried a lot of the fad diets just to kind of check them out. So I'm a nutrition minor, by the way, and I studied at UT, and we did the whole high carb thing. I mean, it was huge back then. That was when everyone's like, eat spaghetti and eat bagels, which was fun. Carb up and load up on your carbs. And we were talking endurance athletes, 3 days for your race, spaghetti, spaghetti, spaghetti. Well, everybody got fat and bloated. And it was wrong information. And
Absolutely.
It wasn't that, here I am, a college student, learning from these people that think they're learning. And all it really was, now we know, was that the carbohydrate stored with extra water. So the athletes were hydrating with the carbs. And that was what their performance was really based on. So here we were kind of, so you have to be careful when you give
kind of a test dummy back then, a little bit.
Right. And then what happened was it went radical. So we went high carb Atkins. You remember that?
Oh my goodness, the Atkins diet.
And then it was paleo, and then it was keto, and it's just the same circle. And I tell people, here's the reality. Just like with exercise, it's the consistency. So I've eaten pretty much the same exact way for 30 years. I eat a lot of vegetables. Love vegetables. I eat fruit. I eat protein. And that's the majority of my life. And yes, I eat carbs. I eat rice and potatoes. When I went through the first paleo round, when it came through, I did find I felt so much better taking out the bread and the extra starches. I just didn't realize that I didn't feel good until I removed it. So, but I still like to eat rice and pasta. I mean, not pasta, potatoes. Sorry. But I do love sweets. So I tell people I cheat, and that's my cheat. I don't drink alcohol, but I do love some chocolate.
Oh, girl, so the same way. I love chocolate. I had way too many chocolate chips yesterday.
Yeah, so you get up, and because you teach early morning, and so I've had the same routine my whole life. And I told someone it's not about even judging you on what you're eating, because it's not affecting me. But when you exercise daily, what you put in your body affects how you feel.
100%.
And when you start to realize how good it feels to eat right, then that's how you want to eat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like it's never changed. I'm like, when I first got into exercise, everyone's like, high protein. Everybody was high protein back then. Lots of water, stay hydrated, eat your clean vegetables. It's always been a little bit with the fruit and the sugar. Yeah. I'm like, I think you have to eat lots of fruit.
I know.
Too much sugar. But you don't need to eat 3 bananas to go for a 3-mile run. So,
no. Everything, moderation.
I also do, I'm a big fan of the intermittent fasting. And so I eat in a cycle. So like my cycle is like an 8-hour cycle. And I like that. It works for me. I didn't realize it had a term. But some people like to wake up and eat breakfast, and some people don't.
I know. Whatever works for you, whatever works best for your body, however makes you feel.
Right. But as an instructor, you can agree, like we know we shouldn't eat a bunch of
Yeah.
sugar, so we try not to. But we should. So then if someone's not losing weight, right, and they're taking your class, I always say, I will help you with your nutrition. Let's just make sure we have an
Yeah.
honesty clause.
Exactly. Like I know, like I'll have some clients, members, they'll be like, I don't know what's going on. I work out 5 days a week and I just can't lose the weight. I'm eating right. I'm like, you're not eating right.
Right,
You're lying. Like, one, I seen you go out drinking all drink
right,
last night on your Instagram
right,
story.
right,
Like, we know
right,
you're lying. We're cool. You can tell me the
right.
truth.
Well, and what's funny is it's the same thing like with the running, by the way. So sometimes, and obviously you can tell with my Instagram, I'm a fanatic. But I tell people it's the little things that add up, right? So if I take a little bite here and there of something I'm not supposed to, well, guess what? Your body knows you're doing it. So it
Yeah.
adds up. Same thing and that's why I'm like, it's amazing on the flip end how little bouts of exercise also will add up. Or adding a few things to strengthen your feet or a few wall falls also add up. So you don't feel like adding extra, like when you start the run training, for example, people are like, well, how do I add this in? I'm like, add it in your warm up. Add it when you're not doing anything. Scrunch your toes while you brush your teeth, right?
Make
It's the same.
time.
Right,
They
right,
have the time. They just need to
right,
make it. Yeah,
right.
absolutely. So tell me about the online program that you do have, and how they can find it.
Okay, so it's my website is runrx.fit. And here's a couple of really cool things. One is I have for free for everybody is the 3-2-1 run is what I call it. And basically 3-2-1 for me is skill, strength, self-care, because those are the three things that you need to run pain-free.
Yeah.
So you go through the 3-2-1 and it's basically just what I teach and I just talk you through it. Now it's a very simplistic, um, this is for the masses in my mind, that anyone can go there, they can follow it, they can get an idea of what it is I'm doing. And then the videos make sense. Like the videos is like the continuing education, right? But that's where you start is a 3-2-1. What's launching in February is an online Learn with Valerie program that is going to be a beta. And it's my first one.
I'm so
The
excited for
idea,
you. That's awesome.
thank you. So it'll be a 4 to 6 week program because what I've been doing, guys, is a gait analysis where I watch you run and then I send it back and I take you through 3 weeks of learning. And the success rate has been insane. People are doing phenomenal with it. But it's one-on-one and it's not as much fun for both, I think, me and the person learning, because when you go back to go practice by yourself and you don't have anyone to connect with, you don't know what you're doing. Am I
Yeah.
doing it right? Am I not doing it right? No one else is doing it. So the idea of the group then is you're still going to get individual coaching from me, obviously, but you get to connect with other people going through the same learning process.
Oh, that's so
And then,
awesome. It's like a community.
yes. And then also kind of like reminding you to like take water, take sips of water. I might pop in and be like, let's all do 10 falls, things like that. So the fun part is that it's going to be, the first one will be a beta and then it'll go ongoing from there. And I'm also again launching this year a coaching program. So people interested in coaching can come in and it's going to be a coaching collective. So the coaches will actually be able to come in, of course, learn the coaching, but interact with the other coaches. And that kind of is a really cool way to network and grow within your community, because
That's
you
awesome.
hope you want to work with other coaches in your area. I mean, honestly, that's the like, and I know you're an Orange Theory coach, right?
Yeah.
So I would assume like you're friendly with the other coaches in the gym.
Yeah.
And right.
Absolutely.
Of course, it doesn't make sense otherwise. And then you would say, gosh, I hope you go to any Orange Theory, anywhere USA, and you will have just as good of a workout and everybody's amazing, right?
That is our
So
focus for sure.
yeah, of course. And so that is exactly what I want with my running coaches. I want people to be any coach they are, Orange Theory, Camp Gladiator, CrossFit, Pose, you name it, whatever you're teaching, whatever your you is. And then you say, by the way, I can cue running. I'm a runner X coach. That's what I'm looking for. And
That's
that way,
awesome.
and then that way that networks, because just like I'm trying to build that here with CG. I think we tried it, doing the same thing inside of CrossFit. But when you sign up with a coach, they know how to teach me everything I'm about to do. Because I really hope that as I keep telling coaches, it's your duty
Yeah.
to learn as much as you can for your athletes and your clients. And if you're including any kind of running in your training, then this just helps them stay a member.
That's why you're my favorite follow. I love
Yeah, thank
watching your
you.
videos. I tell all my members to follow you because you're just so, I love all your stories that you post and all your posts and everything. I'm definitely going to be taking that coach's course for
Yes.
sure.
Well, I hope so.
Absolutely. That's so amazing. What kind of books or any websites that you recommend that you continue to kind of like learn up? Because like you were just saying, you want to continue to learn. So
Right.
any go-to sources that you have that people can follow?
Sure. We're so bad. It's hard when you're in it. Like I said, I'm a pose coach, so of course you can go to their website and they've got good information on the running as well. For self-care, I really like for rolling tips and things like that. I love Tune Up Fitness and AccuMobility. Those are both, again, lots of free content on their site. What's hard with the running, I'll be really honest, is I haven't found a lot of like skill training. Like I love the foot strength stuff that's out there. Like I watch the Foot Collective and they have really good like foot strength exercises. And I'm hoping to network with more coaches for sure. I will just be honest that I don't see a lot of other running websites that talk about technique. They're all about programming.
Yeah.
Kind of how many miles should I run, more than any other kind of thing.
I can completely agree with that. I feel like you're the first one that I really found that really digs deep into every bit of the running technique and form and just strengthening it and lengthening the muscle and the tissue and
Right.
stuff because it's all connected. Like you can't like
Right.
just have one without the other. It's all connected. And if you
Right.
want to be good at it, you have to add all those things in.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to have those injuries, you're going to have those pains, and then you're just going to constantly complain all your life.
Right.
And then you're not going to be able to do what you love the most, run.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like you have to add that in there, and it's so important. Man, you've been so epic. I'm so happy that I got to interview you. It's been such a pleasure, Valerie. Anything else that you want to speak on that you feel that we left out?
Well, I guess the last thing I'll say is any age, the earlier the better, but it's never too late. And that's, I think, where some people might hesitate, and I hope they don't. Whether you've never run before ever, or you've been running for years and years, it's amazing what kind of a shift you could get with just a little bit of fun with the practice.
Absolutely. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Please tell the listeners where they can find you on social media or anything else that you want to like include to find you.
Okay. So my website is runrx.fit, Instagram @runrx, Facebook @runrx.
Perfect. Thanks again. I appreciate it, Valerie. You're such an inspiration to me, and hope you have a great day and Happy New Year. And I
Thank
hope
you.
to catch up
You
soon
too.
and keep me posted on that coaches stuff. I'll be
Oh,
looking
don't
out for
worry. I've
that.
got you on there.
All right, love. Thank you so
so
much. Well, that does it for our episode 18. That was Valerie. She's so amazing. I really love following her on Instagram. This episode is brought to you by AccuMobility. You want to go to @ACUMOBILITY, and you can get one of those balls she was talking about to roll your feet on. They have like really good stuff for strength and mobility and like really digging into the tissue and massaging those feet and those muscles. So you can use her code for 10% off to get one of those AccuBalls. Her code is RUNRX. And then also the episode's brought to you by eatright.life. If you go to that website and you use the code DANI, you'll get $20 off your first order of nutrient-dense, perfectly portioned meals delivered right to your door twice a week. And with every meal you order, we give one back to Feeding Tampa Bay. So we're delivering currently in greater Tampa Bay areas. We even go as far as Sarasota, Orlando, Odessa, St. Pete and Clearwater. And then we're opening up in Dallas in about 8 days. So yesterday was Christmas, today's the 26th. So in about 8 days, we're going to be launching in Dallas, Texas. So if you live in that area and you want to get meals directly delivered to your door that taste amazing, I highly recommend you go to www.eatright.life and use the code DANI, DANI. All right, guys, that about does it for today's episode. Go make today your bitch, guys. Have a great day.